Erica. I wanted to come on here and talk to you about dating a married man. So, this week I had actually got a call from a good friend of mine, and she is single. And one of the things we had talked about is single women dating married men. And when it comes to that, my heart just goes out to ladies who date married men as well as um, guys who date married women. And I want this to be an encouraging video for you and to give you some insight when it comes to dating. So, number one, when you date a married man, you have to remind yourself that he is not single. He is still married to his wife until he gets a divorce. If he is separated from his wife, he's still married. If he lives with her but they're not together, he's still married. If he's been separated from his wife for 4 or 5 years, he's still married. And if he gives you excuses as to why he hasn't gotten a divorce, he's still married. And so when it comes to being able to process that, sometimes as a single woman, you think of all of the possibilities because he is separated, because he hasn't been with his wife, and different reasons. But even though he explains to you his situation, he's still married. And I just want to encourage you not to get caught up in that web, because what can happen is you can date him, have these conversations, and you start to build these emotional connections. And with you building those emotional connections and him being consistent with the communication and taking you out on dates, that if he decides that he wants to get back with his wife, that he can leave you high and dry. And so that's not going to feel good, and that's not going to go well with you. And then the other part is that with these emotional ties that you can have with him, again, you get caught up in this web. And as you get caught up in the web, like, you may feel like you're stuck, or you may feel like, you have gotten high and dry. And it's just like, okay, so now what am I supposed to do? And so don't believe in a dream that a man will tell you that, oh, I'm going to get a divorce in a month, or I'm going to get a divorce in a year. Divorces can actually take 1 to 2 years to actually finalize, because it depends on how much of a fight his wife wants to put up, and she still is his wife. And so if he tells you all of these reasons why he's getting a divorce, and you know the story in and out, and you start to become invested with that story, okay, you start to become invested with that story, and you feel like you know him more and more because of the time you spend with him, because you know his story. Like, even though you know all of those things, he's still married. So, the number one reason to not date a man who is married is because he is not single. And as a woman, I'm quite sure that you want to date a man who is not married, who is available, emotionally available, who can give you a commitment, and who you can have a possible future with if you decide to court each other. So my second reason is that he cannot give you a full commitment. So if you're spending time with him, if you're having conversations with him, and you are doing all of these things, when you start to get emotionally invested and you start to say to yourself, well, I'm caught up in this situation and I want him to myself. And with you wanting him to yourself, he cannot give you himself because he still has a covenant between him, God, and his wife, and he cannot give you a full commitment because he's still married. And you may say, Erica, well, you don't understand. You don't understand his story. You don't understand the thing he's been through. But one thing is for sure is if he does not have a divorce decree, he's still married. He cannot be emotionally invested in you. He cannot give you a full commitment. And he cannot give you everything that you want from a man who will fully pursue you as a wife material woman. Number three is that he is more likely going to play games with you. And it's not that he intentionally wants to play games with you. No, ma'am. It's not that he intentionally wants to play games with you, but sometimes that's just the way that it goes. What I'm saying is that the more time you spend, the more you entertain him, the more attention you give him and he gives you, the more chemistry that you feel with each other. Like you can't be fully compatible with each other because he's still married, even though he's divorced. And again, with you getting invested in his story and in his marriage, knowing good and well that you possibly want to be married someday, that he can say to himself, oh, I'm just going to give her a little piece of me. She only gets a little piece. She may think that I'm invested, but I'm not really invested because he could have you as a backup woman. And I'm quite sure that that's not what you want. You don't want to be a rebound woman, do you? You want to be the one and the only woman that he wants to date, that he wants to pursue, and that he can court you. A man who is married, a man who is separated, he cannot fully give that to you. So if you want to be married, if you want a man to be invested in you, a married man cannot give you what you want. And as a dating and a relationship coach, I would say if a man cannot give you a full commitment and to let you know that he wants to pursue you, that he wants to love you, that he wants to support you, that he wants to make you feel secure, that he wants to make you feel safe being with him, if he cannot give you those things, sweetheart, he is playing games with you. You deserve a man who will love you, respect you, cherish you, want to treat you special, wants to treat you like the future wife you are. A married man, a separated man cannot give you that. However, A single man can give you that. A single marriage minded man, he can give you what you want and need and more. God will bless him to give you what it is that you truly desire. So, with you giving your time and your energy and your effort to a man who is tied to his wife until he gets a divorce, that he will never be able to fully give himself over to you. And at that time, the more time you give to him, again, you're being a rebound woman. And if you think that you're going to get brownie points, if you think that he is actually going to give you something as a prize later, and if you think like, oh, okay, so right now he's still married to his wife, and after he gets a divorce, if you think that he's going to marry you immediately after he gets a divorce, it's time for you to self reflect. It's time for you to pray. Men usually do not get married immediately after getting a divorce. And one of the things that I encourage single ladies with is if he cannot give you what you want, what you need, and if you cannot see a future with him, and if you don't know if you are fully compatible with each other, it's time for you to evaluate your options. So, if he can't give you a commitment, he's playing games. Why allow yourself to be entertained by a man who is going to play games with your heart and with your mind? And again, if you think that he is going to give you a prize later by giving you a commitment in a relationship, chances are he's going to tell you, you know what? Like I just got a divorce and I'm not ready for a committed relationship. I know that we had talked about it, but at this time, I'm a single man. I just would just strongly dislike for you to give your time and your attention to a man who cannot give you a commitment, who cannot love you, who cannot make you feel special as the wife material woman that you are. Number 4 is until he says that he is divorced, again, he's still married. He could be going through a divorce and then some way somehow he has a phone conversation with his wife and they can get back together. How many times have you heard that? How many times have you heard a husband getting back with his wife and they are going to give it a second chance? And you giving him your time, you giving him, the consistency. You've let him know what kind of woman you are. And then here he come saying, I'm sorry to tell you this, but me and my wife, we gonna give it a second chance. And that can be so heartbreaking. I just would hate to see you get into that web. I would hate to see you to become consumed with a man that can't give you what you deserve. If anything, You should be able to be a man's first when it comes to being a possible wife. But if he got a divorce, a different man, if he's gotten a divorce, and this is if you guys were to get married, and this would be his second, third marriage, whatever the case may be, that's something different. But for you to give your time and your energy to a man, and for him to say, me and my wife, we are going to give it a second chance, this is why I'm encouraging you to avoid dating a married man, a separated man. I don't care how long he's been separated. He's still married. And you know that's not what you want. You deserve a man who wants to treat you special, be consistent, who will love you, who doesn't have a commitment or obligations, who isn't in a covenant, but he wants to give you a covenant, okay? He wants to give you a commitment. And when you are dating this type of man, when you are dating a married man, chances are you're going to be walking on eggshells. Chances are you're going to be walking on eggshells. What do I mean by that? When you date a married man, you don't know what can happen. You don't know. And it can get messy real quick. And you don't want mess. You want to be able to experience God's goodness. You want to be able to experience a love story where you guys are able to build something special with each other. So don't even entertain a man who's married or who is separated, because chances are you are putting yourself in a high risk dating experience and you will not be able to get what you want. And you know that you don't want that drama in your life. If anything, you want to have peace. You want to have confidence in the man that you are seeing. A married man, a man who is separated, what confidence do you have? You know you can't take them over to your parents' house. You know you can't take him over to your family's house or to the family barbecue. And if you do, and somebody asks, because you know somebody gonna ask, you will have a whole lot of explaining to do. But if you were to date a marriage-minded man, you could be grinning ear to ear. Like, honey, listen, okay? I got a good man. He's single. He's single, single. Okay? He's single, single. You don't have to think about like, oh, is he gonna get back with his wife? Oh, am I the only one? When he gonna get a divorce? He told me that he was gonna get a divorce 6 months ago, and he still hasn't gotten a divorce. I have worked with women like that. We work through those things. We talk about those things and no judgment. It's just that it's a uphill climb. And my last part is this. Number 5 is until he gets a divorce. Again, he's still married. He has to get healed by God. Do you really want to date a man who's married, who's separated, not healed from his divorce, and you have to, and chances are you may have to encourage him to get healed because you are going to deal with that residue. This is why I encourage single ladies. If a man has gotten a divorce, wait 1 to 2 years after his divorce because he has to go through that healing process, especially if they have children, especially if they had businesses together, they had assets together and all those things. And let's be real, most divorces aren't pretty. Most divorces are ugly. So, until a man is divorced, until a man is healed and he's willing to go through that healing process for 1 to 2 years, then he can come and talk to you. Let me remind you, God wants what's best for you. And God isn't going to send you no mess, and God isn't going to send you a married man. So I hope this message encourages you to think about not dating a married man. Let him know, hey, I cannot I cannot date you. Um, talk to me after you've gotten your divorce and a year after you've gotten healed from it, and then maybe we can talk. But right now, even though you may be separated, you still married. So I hope that these reasons have helped you. And if you want, put in the comments section what was your favorite reason, or if you want to just say something that stuck out to you, let me know in the comments section. I'm Erica, Coach Honeylove. I have had the pleasure to be here with you today, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.